top of the morning, and it is a beaut.
And the hope of the Irish as the future champion of the world.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio.
Welcome to the Barry J. McDonald podcast. The place where dreams get dusted off and acted on. Because life is too short. We're living on a rock that's flying through space. And hey, what the hell else were you going to do with yourself here?
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode. Now I'm wondering, is that a question you've ever asked yourself? Whose life am I living? Now, is the life that you are living, is it of your choice or someone else's? You know, for a lot of people, where they are right now, it's not even a life or occupation of their choice. You know, sometimes maybe their parents were teachers and they just assumed, well, you're going to be the next teacher in the family, or you're going to be the next doctor, or you're going to be the next nurse, or you're going to be the next fireman, or whatever. And sometimes we just slot into those roles, just kind of fit in with everybody else in the family. And sometimes it mightn't be maybe a family member who has made that suggestion to us. Sometimes it can be maybe a career guidance counsellor in some school, where they just said, well, you're not kind of suited to stuff academically. I think you would be suited better to a trade, and I think you should become a mechanic, or a carpenter, or a plumber. And sometimes that maybe suggestion was kind of made off the top of their head, but we follow along with it, and we find ourselves working in those trades. And sometimes maybe the suggestion of what to do in our lives is sometimes through a friend. You know, a friend says, well, I'm going to go off and join the army, or I'm joining the navy, or the fire services or whatever. And we head off with them. And we kind of, it wasn't really a choice of ours. We just kind of were just following along, follow the leader. Where are they going? I'll go with them. Now, I'll always be glad to my father. Now, my father was a truck driver, and he used to say to me many, many times when I was young, Barry, I never want you to be a truck driver. Now, his father was a truck driver before him, and I think my father seen what was ahead of me, because he was living that life, and he didn't want me to live the same life as him. He wanted me to be different. And I remember when I used to kind of go around with him in the summertime, helping out on the truck, sometimes we would meet other truck drivers, and they'd kind of come up to me and maybe pat me on the head and say, Barry, I suppose when you grow up, you're going to be driving big trucks like your father. And my father would kind of always step in and say, no, he's never going to drive trucks. I never want to see him driving trucks, because it's a mugs game. And that always stuck with me. And it actually stuck with me so much that I didn't really start driving until I was probably in my mid-20s, because he put me off driving so much because of that. But I can be grateful to my father that, the route, or where I am right now, is completely different from his. And I think it all started with his suggestion that I should never be a truck driver. Only for his suggestion, you probably wouldn't be listening to this podcast here. I probably wouldn't have written as many fiction books. I probably wouldn't be creating digital products, or done half of the things that I've done in the past, because I didn't go on that path. So maybe just think about your life, the life that you're living right now. Is it one of your choosing, or are you going on someone else's suggestion? Now, sometimes that can seem a little bit depressing when we look at our own lives and say, well, it's not my life I'm living, it's somebody else's. But what I would say to you is that you can always make a small change. You can always make a small change in direction. If you've got a few free hours in the evening, start writing, start drawing, start doing the things that fired you up when you were younger. And if you get good at it, see if you can maybe build an audience, build some products, try and make an income from it, so eventually that you can actually veer away from whatever career or occupation you're in right now, and follow one that keeps you happy, something that you're meant to do on this planet. But again, as I said, if you find yourself, in an occupation or living a life that's not yours, you're not the only one. Throw a rock in any direction and you're bound to hit someone who isn't living a life of their choosing. So give that some thought today. And as I said, if you find maybe that it's not your life, you can make changes. Everything isn't over. You haven't reached the end. As long as you have another new day tomorrow, you can make a difference. You can go down that path. Start working on those things you would like to do. And as I said, build an audience. And eventually you will find, if you get good at it, people like what you do. People are willing to pay for what you make or record or create. you eventually can make a living out of it. So many people on TikTok nowadays have completely transformed their lives from where they were into something that they wanted to do. So don't give up hope, but give that some thought today. Are you actually living your life, or are you living someone else's life? Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Would you like to know how I went from being a lowly shelf stacker, depressed, no confidence in himself, and how I went from that to becoming a popular children's author, and then on to even greater things, recording and selling my own digital products? If you'd like to find out how I did it, and if you would like to do the same yourself, if you head over to Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com, you'll find a great free report over there, which is called the Online Business Manifesto. And in that report, I'm going to show you the journey I went on from the beginning to where I am right now. And I'm going to show you the 3 business secrets I learned along the way. Now, these secrets aren't secrets that most people talk about. Some people don't even realize that they exist. So if you head over to Writecom, download the free report, you are going to be miles ahead of everyone else who has an online business. Have a lovely day, and I hope you enjoy this episode.